little hand-painted statue.
How can you tell it's hand-painted?
Well, the paints are right there on the desk. Also, I mean, no offense, but you can just tell.
What is it?
He's an imp.
What does he do?
Well, if you tell too many lies, he appears at the end of your bed in the middle of the night.
Oh. It's a barometer.
I've never seen a barometer that wasn't broken. A hammock.
I would politely describe it as...
Shelf junk. Tools. Used by a gardener for gardening. Tools. Used by a gardener for gardening. That's a handsome beetle. Looks like he might have magic.
This one's in a little...
Okay, that is definitely...
Looks like a gemstone, don't you think? It's glass, but I can't...
Total oxymoron.
I am not.
Hanging baskets. They're so high up.
To you, maybe.
You're only 2 inches taller than me.
2 inches makes all the difference. All right.
Spooky murder mansion?
Spooky murder mansion.
Are you a ghost?
Sally! That's rude! Unless she is a ghost.
It may come as a disappointment, but I am alive.
That makes you a suspect, I'm afraid.
I know.
What's your name?
My name is Poppy. I'm a pointer. And a pianist.
We'll need to ask you a few questions about Freya.
I know.
Hey, you're pretty good.
All in the wrist. And 13 years of dedicated practice. I'm just me. There's nothing to know.
How are you related to the other pointers?
My father is Percival Pointer. The professor spends most of his time hidden away in his tower. Barely speaks to anyone these days. Especially not the fellows.
Do you get on with the fellows?
2 of them. Fifi and Freya are my closest friends. We all turned 19 last year.
Do people ever leave Tangle Tower? I don't mean to be rude. It's just, if you're 19...
You don't have to answer that, Poppy.
It's a fair question. I'd like to move away. Definitely. Fifi, Freya, and I would often talk about it, argue about it. Freya wanted to leave, but Fifi... Things are more complicated for her.
What about now?
After what happened, I really don't want to stay here much longer. Three and a half hours of piano practice, soon as I wake up. Same as always.
3.5. Does that not hurt your hands?
Sure.
And you do this in the music room?
No, I prefer to practice in my room. When I make mistakes, I like to make them in private.
What did you do after that?
I was supposed to meet Fifi in the library, but I totally forgot. When I finally got down there, she'd already gone. I checked her bedroom, but it was locked.
Was Fifi not in there?
No idea. She keeps her door locked either way. So I went back upstairs and out into the moonlight garden.
The what?
The little garden on the roof outside my room.
Was it just you up there?
No, Fitz came outside after a while. His room's on the other side. He's been teaching me about flowers.
So, did you talk to him?
Not really.
You ignored each other.
I didn't say that. Fitz and I were up in the moonlight garden most of the afternoon. Then we heard this sound. Lasted about 3 seconds. I've been trying to decide how to describe it, but I'm struggling. It was like something drilling into a piece of metal, but different. Worse. I was pretty sure it was coming from Flora's tower, so we went up there to check. Her door was locked. Nobody was answering. I knew Freya and Flora were both supposed to be in there, so I made Fitz kick down the door. I went inside. Freya was lying on the floor.
Flora was in the room too?
Yeah. I think she realized what had happened at the same moment I did. I didn't know what to do, so I ran downstairs to get Fifi. Her door was still locked, but I knocked and shouted at her. Eventually, she let me in. The lights were off, but I could see she'd already been crying. I told her what had happened. She didn't believe me. She got angry. First time I've ever seen her angry. I dragged her out into the hall. My father was there too, for some reason. The three of us went back up to Flora's tower. Then Felix arrived. He had Penny with him. Fifi had this idea. She wanted to do some kind of scientific test. She took me down to the library. We were in there about 15 minutes. After she was done, she went back upstairs and I went back to my room.
That's it?
That's it. Oh, you've been to the greenhouse? What did you think?
Impressive, I guess. But kind of unsettling, with Fitz lurking in the shadows the whole time.
Yeah, he does that. Whose paints are those?
They belong to Felix, I think.
What was inside?
Nothing.
Huh.
Does this belong to you, Poppy?
Now that's not really my style, is it?
But who else would own a tape like this?
Literally anybody? It was my mother's originally.
So, why is it up in Flora's room?
She just gets the most use out of it. Freya would borrow it too sometimes. Why is the glass cracked down one side?
Natural wear and tear, maybe?
No way. Freya took good care of her stuff. Is that a gardening trowel?
Yeah. I think it belongs to Fitz.
Really? Never seen him use it. Did you find that in Fifi's room?
No? Should we have?
No, it's just... It looks like something she'd use, don't you think? That's me. I'm on a list of murder suspects. Always thought that would be kinda cool, but it's just tedious.
Falls a little short, doesn't it? All right. Poppy's bedroom is unlocked.
I wonder what's in there.
It's a metronome for keeping time.
It's ticking. Is it a bomb?
It's supposed to be. Not sure what those symbols are, though. Nothing.
We can't rotate the pendulums directly. Neat. What happened?
A little hatch unlocked in the back.
Anything in there?
It's a photograph. Heart of a photograph. More handwritten sheet music.
That is the bit
I
of
thought
it.
vampires slept in coffins.
This is a vampire who needs firm support for their lower back. Empty. There's a name for this kind of piano. You know, these... Anything in the
Nothing you need to know about. More handwritten sheet music. More handwritten sheet music. More handwritten sheet music.
Anything in the wardrobe?
Dresses mostly. I never realized there were so many shades of black.
Poppy and I are friends.
Oh, I can buy that. Dark clothes, blue hair, an average of 3 words per sentence. Oh, you're like 2 peas in a pod.
She's very kind, and she has an interest in plants. Unusual flowers, mostly. I've been teaching her.
Right.
Is something wrong? Felix is a contradiction. His loyalties are placed firmly within the realm of materialism, money, property, but his ego relies on an entirely fraudulent self-image, don't you think?
I was just about to say the same thing.
I like Flora. I hope she's all right.
Do you think she had anything to do with the murder?
There's no way. She wouldn't willingly cause any additional suffering for anyone.
Any idea who this is?
No idea. This is a good example of how things work. I mix that soil here in the greenhouse. It's made with water from the lake.
And it makes the fruit grow all shiny and gem-stony.
Sometimes. You never really know what's going to happen.
And what do you do with this shiny and edible fruit?
You look at it. Felix made that? Huh. It's an egg with feet.
It was locked, but we opened it, but it was empty.
Fun story. That looks like it might belong to Poppy. That belongs to Poppy.
So why is it up in Flora's tower?
I'm not sure. Paints are different to flowers.
I'd say so, yeah.
At any time, flowers can bloom with perfect, faultless colors. Red, blue, white. With paint, once you've tainted a color by mixing it with others, not even the most skilled painter can return it to its pure form.
curious. I would expect bacteria of that nature to thrive in these conditions.
Excuse me.
Taking all the environmental factors into account, there must be something I'm still missing.
May I talk to you, miss?
She knows we're here. She just doesn't care.
I am a detective, and I need to talk.
Correction. You do not need to talk to me.
Oh no? How come?
Because I am not a suspect. I am completely innocent of any and all crimes.
Thanks for letting me know.
Speaking of which, you have now been at Tangle Tower for over 23 minutes. Surely you have already reached a sturdy hypothesis.
A hypothesis? About the murder?
Yeah, come on, Grimoire, hurry up.
My apologies. Unfortunately, protocol dictates I must at least meet all the suspects. And that includes you. So, could you tell me your name?
Fifi Fellow, microbiologist, inventor, innovator. You will need to be more specific. Oneself cannot be summarized in a single response without doing one a great disservice.
So true.
Well, first of all, you're a fellow. So does that make you the daughter of—
Correct. My father and mother are named Flora and Felix, but you need not question either of them. It will only waste valuable time. Neither of them are capable of murder.
Thanks for the tip.
Fifi, you said you were a micro... something or other?
Microbiologist, but it is an insignificant label. My studies cannot be categorized in any one recognized field.
What made you want to become a scientist in the first place?
I harbor an intrinsic fascination with the microscopic. I constructed my first one at age 10.
Constructed a microscope?
Correct.
And what's that thing on your head? Did you make that too?
My eyesight began to deteriorate when I turned 12. Not satisfied with the eyeglasses prescribed to me, I designed this custom lens instead. It automatically adjusts based on the surrounding light conditions.
Does it glow red when you get angry?
No, but that would be most amusing. What can you tell me about the murder?
What can you tell me about— Wait, that's what I'm supposed to ask you.
Yes, however, you were too slow.
You fancy yourself a detective too, Fifi.
I just need to know what happened.
Me too. So talk.
Fine. I knew ahead of time that Freya was going to be busy with her painting all day, so I had planned to spend the afternoon with Poppy. I was in the library all morning preparing the equipment for an experiment, only to find out that Poppy had made other plans and she was in fact planning to ignore me completely.
Oh.
So what did you do instead?
I locked myself in my room and cried.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Why?
I don't know, it just sounds kind of sad.
It is not unusual.
Oh. Good.
I was in my room. The lights were off and the door was locked. Someone began banging on the door. I ignored it until the someone began shouting at me. I opened the door. Poppy came into my room. Her makeup was leaking. She told me Freya was dead. I did not believe it. I thought she was playing a trick on me, so I punched her in the face. She insisted that we go up to Flora's tower. We left the room, and Poppy's father was waiting outside. He followed us upstairs. When I saw Freya lying on the floor, I was completely and utterly devastated. Then, I took a sample of the red paint on the unfinished painting. Poppy and I took the sample back downstairs to the library. We performed a test and found out that it was, in fact, blood.
You performed that scientific test immediately, even though you were feeling so upset?
Of course. Why would one affect the other? Name, Flora Fellow. Age, 44. Profession, unknown. Likes, unknown. Dislikes, unknown.
Isn't she your mother? How do you not know anything?
I believe other people may have discovered methods of reaching her, but I have little capacity for interpreting nonverbal communication.
And how long has Flora been non-verbal?
She has always been quiet, willing to speak when necessary, but not more.
So what happened to make her stop talking entirely?
She suffered a great loss, something she has been unable to move beyond. Name, Felix Fellow. Age, 53. Profession, None. Likes, collecting objects of negligible monetary value and assigning them personal value. Dislikes, the inescapable realities of human existence. Notes, Felix is my father and legal guardian.
And, is he a good dad?
I have no point of comparison, but I would say no.
No? Why not?
You asked me a binary question. Do not get upset that I provided one of the two possible answers.
What makes him a bad father, Fifi?
He has trouble expressing his emotions, and something of a willful detachment from reality.
Huh. Just like you, then.
Grimoire.
No, he is quite correct. Name, Fiona Fellow. Age, 19. Profession, amateur microbiologist. Likes, the meaningful archiving of information. Dislikes, the superfluous window dressing accompanying the majority of human contact. Notes, kindly disregard the polysyllabic form of my given forename and refer to me instead as Fifi.
How come you prefer Fifi?
How come you prefer Grimoire?
How are you related to the other fellows?
Fitz is my cousin. His father, a man named Flint, was my uncle.
Was?
I do not know if Flint is alive or not. He left Tangle Tower a long time ago.
And what about Freya? How are you related to her?
We share exactly one grandparent. Name, Hawkshaw. Age, unknown. Profession, private detective. Likes, quote, being left alone. Dislikes, quote, being constantly badgered by a weirdo nerd with a clipboard. Name, Freya Fellow. Age, 19. Profession, artist. Deceased. Understand this. Most people find me difficult. They exhibit a noticeable degree of discomfort when talking to me. There it is. Freya, who had a way of being an exception to any given rule, was not at all like this. She is very important, and I will not rest until I understand what has happened to her.
Did you spend a lot of time with Freya recently?
I will say this. In the past year, Freya became, 1, increasingly independent, and 2, increasingly isolated.
Do you know why?
I do not. If you are looking for a speculative, empathetic opinion, try asking Poppy instead.
The three of you are friends.
We are of a similar age, and all highly gifted. 1 scientist, 1 artist, and 1 musician.
Sounds like quite a team.
Name, Fitzfellow. Age, 24. Profession, cryptobotanist. Likes, soil. Dislikes, electric lights.
Hang on. Cryptobotanist? I thought he was just a gardener.
That may well be his preferred label. Mine, however, is more accurate.
Do you and Fitz not see eye to eye, Fifi?
We do not.
Well, I wouldn't have thought so. He's well over 6 foot and you've got to be just barely 5.
So what's your problem with him?
Exactly 1 week ago, I witnessed him sneaking up Pointer Tower. He was making every effort to avoid detection.
So?
He was also carrying a knife. Name, Poppy Pointer. Age, 19. Profession, Apparently Poppy has defaced my notes. Under profession, I had of course originally written pianist, but she has crossed that out and written the ghost of Christmas yet to come. What is your opinion of Tangle Tower?
Well, it's impressive. Elaborate gardens, unique architecture.
Must be worth a fortune.
Why do you ask, Fifi?
I am the heir of the Fellow family and the Remington family. This makes me the sole beneficiary of Tangle Tower.
That's quite an inheritance.
They can't make you do anything, Fifi. If you don't want the house, just tell them. Or just sell it. Who cares?
You sound like her. I require facts. What do you know?
Well, we know Freya was stabbed with a knife, and then she fell...
Correction. She was stabbed with something. There was no knife found at the crime scene.
Apart from the one in the painting.
which as a mere abstract representation does not count. Nobody has ever been stabbed by the concept of a knife. This belongs to Poppy. In fact, she owns a number of cassette tapes.
What happened to it, though?
It has been left underwater for an extended period of time.
Right. But why?
I do not know why. The statue itself does not interest me, but I do wish to know about those symbols on the harp. Have you deciphered their meaning yet?
We're working on it.
We are.
The red paint on the brush is not paint. It is blood. Same for the palette.
So Freya added the blood to the painting herself?
Or blood got on the brush and palette some other way?
I do not know the answer. Freya is normally highly skilled at capturing someone's likeness, but in this painting, she has accidentally made Flora look quite young.
I think she was just being kind.
Why is that kind? Anyway, I'm far more interested in what Flora is holding. I performed the test on the red paint myself. I discovered that it was in fact not paint, but blood.
What made you want to test it in the first place?
It was Poppy. She told me she thought the painting looked like a bloody knife. I told her not to be ridiculous. My mother owns no such knife. But then I noticed that the color was slightly too dark, and the substance itself was overly viscous.
You noticed that just from looking at it once?
Of course. This belongs to Professor Pointer, does it not?
No, I don't think so.
Who else would own such a pointless little telescope?
It's a telescope.
Oh yes, it has a telescopic lens. It can only be used for looking at things that are far away. That blade.
It's a troll for gardening.
It is?
Fifi, did you test the red paint in this pot?
Yes, I did. I discovered it too was blood, not paint.
A whole pot full of blood?
Not a whole pot. It is only partially full.
Yeah, but still. Doesn't that freak you out?
No. In fact, it may be considered rather reassuring. The gramophone belongs to Poppy, but I believe she gave it to my mother, and my mother often loaned it to Freya. Or maybe it is the other way around.
When did it get cracked?
I cannot pinpoint it exactly. All I know is that it must have happened sometime in the last 2 days.
Is she laughing?
That belongs to my mother. I think she must be fond of eggs. There are a number of egg-shaped carvings to be found in the garden and in the Grand Hall.
Yeah, what's the deal with all the eggs?
Some people just like eggs. A wooden carving of my father, made by my father. Although, now that I look at it, I do not understand how he was able to paint the red parts without any red paint. The fruit here has a unique chemical makeup. It makes them completely pointless, unless you wish to cut it down and sell it as a precious stone.
It's not edible.
Depends.
On what?
On the structural integrity of your teeth.
Who is that in the photo?
I'm quite sure that I have no idea.
Fifi's bedroom should be unlocked now.
Can't wait.